Hey everyone, hope everybody's having a good night tonight. I kind of wanted to just do a little quick video on soldering tonight because all over Facebook tonight there's been talk about people soldering the KISS flight controller and the pads coming off really easy and that it's KISS's fault, and there's a whole bunch of drama going on about it. And I'm here to tell you that this is an error done by the person. For no reason these pads are not gonna come off for just no reason. That being said, I'm going to show you how to solder properly and what to do, what to use. I use very good solder that I got from the source. It's made by Nextech. It's 0.6 millimeter, so it's very tiny. It's 623602, and it's high-tech rosin core solder. So it's nice and shiny, it flows really nice, and it grabs really nicely as well. Now, people use solder that they got from Banggood or AliExpress or some cheap friggin' place. You can't do that. You can't buy shit and expect things to work perfect for you. This is, something that you can't cheap out on. It has to be done properly. The joints have to be done properly to get a good connection, get good power flow, get good signal, get good ground. It's the only way things are going to work properly when you're flying your quad. And people don't understand, why does my quad fly like shit? Well, you cheaped out and you put crap parts on it. And you put shitty solder on it, and you did whatever else to cheap around the corner. This isn't a hobby, and I apologize if I'm offending a couple people, and maybe I'm too fresh and too new to be doing this, but I'm tired of people not taking responsibility for their actions and saying, hey, you know what, I messed up, I soldered wrong, I'm going to have to replace that expensive flight controller that I bought because it's my fault. So don't go on Facebook and be like, oh, KISS, your flight controls are crap, the solder pads fall off. No, this is user error, and I'm going to show you how to do it real properly. So this is a Maytag power distribution board, and I'll show you how to do it. People just use these flux pens, and they get flux all over the place, and, they make a big mess. You don't need a whole lot of stuff on there. So what I do is I just take a Q-tip, and I actually take a real fine pointed Q-tip. See if I can get that in the picture there. It's just a little one. And I just put a little bit onto each pad. Just like that. And I just spread it around just a little bit. Just on each one, just like that. Make sure it's on there nice and smooth. Now I always make sure my tip is nice and clean as well. Nice and clean. So I'm going to put a little bit on there. I'm going to clean it off again to make sure that there's nothing on it, because you don't want anything in your solder that's going to affect your joints. You want it nice and clean. And make sure I have a nice big blob on there for when I start soldering. 3 seconds. Just like that. Now my tip is already dirty after just doing 2 joints because of the flux. So you're gonna want to keep that clean all the time. All the time. Size of the tip that's on your soldering iron makes a big difference as well. I'm using a Hakko FX888D that I bought. It was $100, and I know $100 can be expensive, but if you want to do the job properly, this soldering machine will last me my lifetime. Just like that. See how nice those joints are that are on there? Goes on like butter. This solder that I bought from the source probably cost me $15 for a roll. It's expensive, but it works. You know, I don't want garbage. Bad solder will lead to easy breaks. You know, and it's hard to trace that back. You know, what's wrong with my quad? How come it isn't, how come motor 1 isn't turning? Oh, must be the PIDs. You know, must be this, must be that. Well, no, you know, these are the main problems that people run into, is the skill that people have in their soldering. And nobody practices. They practice on their quad, right? And that's not right. You know, you can't be doing that. A little shaky today because I haven't had dinner yet. You see how easy that goes on there? I'm on there for 2 seconds, 3 seconds at the most. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Clean. Clean it. Solder on there. Clean it again. Make sure it's nice and shiny. Just like that. You know, you can go back and put a little bit extra on, a little bit more if you want. Spread it around. You don't want, you know, these things getting too hot. When you put too much heat to them, that's when you start frying little internal resistors and capacitors and everything and how they're built. So PCB board is just fragile, right? So you want to make sure that you take care of it. So that's done. This one here is the KISS flight controller. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I wanted to show you because people were complaining about this one. People were complaining about this one the most. So I already know which ones I want to solder. That one there. PWM1 and 2 or 3. That one is. Let's get some solder. Like I say, you don't need too much. Just enough to get that solder flowing in a nice. These ones are so small. I just put enough on there that I can just dab it on there, and it goes on. Just like that. 1, 2, boom, done. Putting no heat on this thing. Boom, done. See how it just grabs like that? Nice and easy. The temperature that I'm soldering at is 385 degrees Celsius or 725 Fahrenheit, which is probably a bit too hot, but I like it a little bit hotter than most people do because I don't like holding my iron on there for too long. I like to just be able to put it on just like that. I'm not even on there for a second and a half. This little white knob's getting in the way of my soldering. Once you see that tip getting dirty, make sure you clean it all the time. Clean, clean, clean. I can't say it enough. People wonder why their joint breaks on their solder. It's all about cleanliness. without getting my hand in the way there. Turned it over for the other side. I'm doing all three because I like to run the I'm going to run the telemetry from my ESCs to my flight controller. I'm doing all three. See how fast I just did all those? I was probably on the whole thing for probably 7-8 seconds. That's it. All done. So the next thing I want to teach you, not a lot of people do this I don't think, is to clean it off. And cleaning it off, I just use a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. You know, I just put a little bit on there. Clean that flux right off there. Spray it all over the place. Because believe it or not, flux, if it will start to conduct a little bit of signal, a little bit of power, a little bit of ground. If it's touching, you know, if you've got a strand on there that's just a random strand that's connecting, that could throw your whole system off. So I like to clean those joints, make sure you got everything off. So I just use just a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Make sure everything is nice and clean. You know, you get splashes of solder everywhere. You know, one, a blob of solder drops onto a resistor or something, screws your flight controller up. But I just want to say, like, I soldered that. You seen how much heat I put on there. It was just on and off, on and off. There's no way that that pad is going to come off unless you've applied a ton of heat to it and pulled it off yourself. It's the only way that that can happen. So, you know, people just take a little bit of responsibility and say, instead of blaming the manufacturer, and you know, it's only ever one or two guys, three, maybe four guys that are saying it. When one person says it, people jump on the bandwagon. It's not the flight controller, it's user error. And I'm sorry to say it, but somebody has to, because, you know, KISS is a great product. I've had nothing but, you know, absolute, you know, great experience with it. And I hate when people say, you know, it's bad because of something that they've done, and they're just trying to blame it on the manufacturer, and it's not like that. You know, I'm gonna probably get a lot of backlash from this, and people are gonna be, you know, F you, Todd, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, this happened to me, blah, 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 blah. And I really just have to say, you know, take a good look in the mirror and be honest with yourself for once in your lifetime, if anything, and just say, you know what, I put too much heat on there, I used too much solder, I used too much flux, and I burnt it, and I messed it up. It's annoying to see these people jump on the bandwagon and say all that kind of stuff. So there you have it. Here's a little quick tip. Little 15-minute video on soldering. Subscribe to my page. Hit that like button. Share it, please. I have Facebook, Instagram, GeForce FPV. I have a website and an online store. I sell all kinds of stuff. KISS, DYS, Maytech. Brother Hobby Tornado motors are fantastic. I love them. You know, I'm not always adding more stuff to my store. So if you have any questions, just give me a holler. You can find me. Reach out to me. Love to talk to you.